moving forward. I would like to clarify for the record some of the submissions that have been made at the last hearing before the zoning hearing board through to tonight. And just to be clear, I'll identify the documents by their title. Prior to the last hearing, I was provided, as was counsel for the township, with a document entitled Bench Memorandum Regarding Disqualification of Zoning Hearing Board Members. And this was submitted by the legal counsel for Range Resources Appalachia LLC. At the last hearing, legal counsel for Range Resources submitted a similarly titled document, but different, entitled Bench Memorandum Regarding Jurisdiction of the Zoning Hearing Board of South Fayette Township. As you know, at the last hearing, legal counsel for the township presented a motion requesting recusal of zoning hearing board members due to a conflict of interest, prejudgment and bias, and/or alternatively requesting certification of issues for a determination by the Court of Common Pleas. Legal counsel for the township also submitted a motion to quash premature appeal of Range Resources Appalachia LLC, as there is no case in controversy right to litigate. And legal counsel for the township presented a motion to quash for lack of standing Range Resources Appalachia LLC's challenge of validity of ordinance 5-2010. After the hearing, in accordance with the time frames that we established at the last hearing, the legal counsel for Range Resources submitted a brief in opposition to motion requesting recusal of zoning hearing board members, and Range Resources submitted a document entitled Range Resources Appalachia LLC's brief in opposition to South Fayette Township's motion to quash for alleged lack of standing and for alleged lack of rightness. Also, in accordance with the time frames established at the last hearing, legal counsel for the township submitted a document entitled South Fayette Township's reply to Range Resources Appalachia LLC's brief in opposition to South Fayette Township's motion for recusal of zoning hearing board members to quash for lack of standing and for lack of rightness. Despite the zoning hearing board identifying a time frame for when certain documents can be submitted, other documents were in fact submitted. Before I address those, I will say this. All of the documents that I have already identified here tonight have been reviewed by all of the members of the zoning hearing board. I believe have been provided to both parties, that being the township and Range Resources. These documents will all be accepted into the record, and they will all be given the appropriate weight. Last evening, Range Resources emailed to my office and to the legal counsel for the township 3 documents. These documents are entitled Motion for Leave to File SIR Reply Brief in Opposition to Township's Pre-Hearing Motions, and then a proposed order granting motion for leave to file SIR Reply Brief in Opposition to Township's Pre-Hearing Motions, and finally Range Resources Appalachia LLC's SIR Reply to South Fayette Township's Pre-Hearing Motions. The zoning hearing board did not have a full opportunity to review all of these documents. These submissions will be made a part of the record. They are not going to be given any weight. They will be made a part of the record because there was an attempt by Range to offer them. But because they were outside the scope of what we established and from a time frame, I could not give the zoning hearing board a sufficient opportunity to review it, nor did it provide legal counsel for the township an opportunity to reply as we had previously established in the other briefing schedule. Finally, today, sometime midday, I received to my office a request to have 3 subpoenas issued by the Zoning Hearing Board, one to Range Resources Appalachia LLC, one to John Allen Koski, and one to Fred Cardillo. I believe I received an email today too that I was going to receive some type of documentation from Range Resources challenging these subpoenas. I have not received any such documentation. To the extent there's a request to issue subpoenas, the subpoenas request, in essence, discovery and not a specific set of documents and not specific information. It's a last-minute, broad-based attempt without justification to seek information, much of which may not be relevant to tonight's proceeding. After discussing this matter with the Zoning Hearing Board and its chairman, the Zoning Hearing Board will not issue the subpoenas as requested, and as part of the ultimate written decision by the Zoning Hearing Board, it will address in more specificity the reasons why. But generally, it's because it's more akin to discovery and not a request for specific information with an offer of proof why it is relevant or necessary for the proceeding, and most importantly, because it was requested with not a sufficient amount of time for the parties who would be the subject of the subpoena to bring the requested information. Obviously, this hearing has been scheduled now for approximately 1 month, and the Zoning Hearing Board did not have the ability to address this matter in a timely fashion. That should address all of the submissions that have been received. I just want to confirm with legal counsel, Mr. Kamarowski and Mr. Kamen, that neither one of you have submitted any other information that I have not identified for the record.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to address one of the motions before the Zoning Hearing Board. I move to dismiss Range Resource Appalachia LLC's validity challenge of Ordinance 5-2010 because no actual controversy exists and the validity challenge is not yet ripe for adjudication.
I second that. All in favor? Aye. Aye.
And no opposed.
Since the validity challenge has been dismissed, there is no need at this time to rule on the issue of Range Resources standing, and I move to adjourn this hearing with regards to Range Resources validity challenge.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Okay. A written decision will be issued by the Zoning Hearing Board to support the positions that it has taken with regard to tonight's proceedings.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute recess here before we move into our other hearings. Anybody's more than welcome to stay for the other 3 hearings that we have this evening. If you back and leave, you can stick around for the other hearings.